How pigeons helped the Allies during World War II. In 1939, the world found itself in a conflict that would later be crowned as the deadliest in history. A war fueled by brave young men and egotistical old leaders. Total death toll was over 70 million people, and entire nations were put in a chokehold. That's right, we're talking about World War II. The war spanned from Europe to the Pacific and saw unprecedented battles, alliances, and the rise of famous leaders like Churchill, Roosevelt, and Hitler. But amidst the epic clashes and strategic operations, World War II was also a time of incredible creativity and the introduction of new technology to the world. Also, we can't forget about the insane amount of brutality. Strange and unconventional weapons were developed, pushing the boundaries of science and imagination. In this video, we'll be exploring some of the most innovative and bizarre tools. Pigeons. But before we talk more about how pigeons helped during the war, we must talk about why pigeons were used in the first place. Pigeons can be taught relatively complex actions and response sequences. They readily learn to respond in the presence of one simple stimulus and withhold responding in the presence of a different stimulus, or to make different responses in the presence of different stimuli. Pigeons can discriminate between other individual pigeons and can use the behavior of another individual as a cue to tell them what response to make. And most importantly, pigeons can remember routes, a crucial factor during the war. In 1943, Nazi Germany, while being in retreat in the east, still occupied 20 countries and controlled an area the size of the United States. Rocket technology had advanced, but accurate guidance over long distances was a challenge due to the lack of modern GPS. Most missiles were not guided in real time, and the German V2 rocket had questionable accuracy, with half of them falling within only 12 kilometers or 7.6 miles of their target. Furthermore, the British counterintelligence misled German spies about V2 rocket impact locations, reducing their accuracy further. In other words, even with the latest technology of the time, V2 wasn't as accurate as the Germans wanted it to be. So, let's think for a second. I think it's time for us to return to nature and seek some guidance. American psychologist B.F. Skinner proposed Project Pigeon to develop a more accurate missile. However, the use of pigeons was not as new as it had been done before World War II. Pigeons were used as a carrier service to transport messages between platoons. The image shows a message carried by a pigeon that reads, "On water attacked by 3 Huns." Skinner aimed to train pigeons to recognize the pattern of a target and peck at a screen inside the missile's nose cone, mechanically steering the missile towards the target. Pigeons were also meant to be used in a missile. Yes, you heard that right. A prototype missile was developed. Its nose came with 3 compartments, each with a window. A pigeon would be placed in each section and trained to peck at the window when the target appeared. If all 3 pigeons pecked, the weapon would be released. This prototype was never developed, but influenced later work on animal training. But let us tell you one sure thing. Such animal abuse would have brought Peter committing war crimes. This innovative approach promised to hit specific targets from 100 kilometers or 62.14 miles away using the pigeon's natural navigational abilities. Despite a successful demonstration of the pigeon's capabilities, military officials cancelled Project Pigeon due to skepticism and concerns about delaying other projects. And we can't forget to mention that during war, time and money are limited. However, Skinner went on to become a leading psychologist, popularizing behaviorism. Pigeons continued to serve in various capacities, such as message couriers and aiding in search and rescue missions. This played a crucial part in bridging the communication gap between the front lines and the back lines in battles. Thanks to the invention of radar, radio messages could be transmitted and detected by the Axis. Hence, a reliable and safe communication link was necessary. Thanks to pigeons and their sense of direction, this was possible. There is no confirmed report, but it can be estimated that thousands of messages were delivered by pigeons during the course of the war. Hobart's Funnies. Well, the ingenuity and creativity of the engineers and designers didn't stop there. Tanks were a huge part of World War II, a metal fortress that had the firepower equivalent to 100 well-equipped soldiers. Tanks were a huge asset to a battalion, but different terrains called for different types of tank, so the engineers and designers had to adapt. Hobart's Funnies were a series of modified military vehicles designed by Major General Percy Hobart for the British Army during World War II. These specialized vehicles were created to overcome the specific obstacles and fortifications faced during the Allied invasion of Europe, particularly during the D-Day landings. Let's talk about the Crocodile tank. The Crocodile tank was a classic tank of the war that had one main job: to pretty much burn the enemy soldier hiding in trenches, houses, and bunkers. Yeah, sounds like a bad way to go. The flamethrower equipment was produced as a kit that Remy workshops could fit in the field, converting any available Churchill Mark VI. Although in practice, field conversion was rarely done, if it was ever done at all, as it made more sense for the flame tanks to be allocated to designated units that had been specially trained to operate them. The flamethrower had a maximum range of up to 120 yards or 110 meters, but generally the range was around 80 yards or 73 meters. To ignite the flame, the projector used a fine spray of petrol from the Crocodile's main fuel tank. This was ignited by a spark plug and, in turn, ignited the main fuel jet. The operator could also spray the target with fuel and then ignite it with a short, lit burst. There was sufficient fuel for 80 single-second bursts, or equivalent continuous fire. The Crocodile was an effective assault weapon, used so successfully against bunkers that many surrendered after the first ranging shots. The flame projector was a powerful psychological weapon, so feared by the Germans that captured Crocodile crews were often executed. An additional fuel tank was also towed behind the main tank to provide sufficient fuel to the flamethrower. The trailers were fitted with tow bars so they could be collected after the action by unit transport. Refueling took at least 90 minutes and pressurization around 15 minutes. The pressure required had to be primed on the trailer by the crew as close to use as feasible, because pressure could not be maintained for very long. The fuel was projected at a rate of 4 imperial gallons or 18 liters per second. The fuel burned on water and could be used to set fire to woods and houses and, of course, poor soldiers. The bouncing bomb. Imagine a bomb being dropped from a fighter jet. The bomb falls and does what a bomb does best: it explodes. But now think again. A bomb falls down, and instead of exploding, it bounces away on water. Yes, like in the Looney Tunes. A bouncing bomb is designed to skip over water to reach a target. It bounces away, avoiding obstacles like torpedo nets, and allows precise control over its speed and detonation time, similar to a naval depth charge. The first bouncing bomb was invented by British engineer Barnes Wallis. His upkeep bomb was used in the RAF's Operation Chastise in May 1943 to hit German dams and explode underwater. Barnes Wallis's April 1942 paper Spherical Bomb, Surface Torpedo described a method of attack in which a weapon would be bounced across the water until it struck its target, then sink to explode underwater. Bouncing it across the surface would allow it to be aimed directly at its target, while avoiding underwater defenses, as well as some above the surface. And such a weapon would take advantage of the bubble pulse effect, typical of underwater explosions, greatly increasing its effectiveness. Wallis's paper identified suitable targets as hydroelectric dams and floating vessels moored in calm waters, such as the Norwegian fjords. A distinctive feature of the weapon, added in the course of development, was backspin, which improved the height and stability of its flight, and ability to bounce, and helped the weapon to remain in contact with, or at least proximity to, its target on arrival. Sticky bomb. The grenade, Hand Anti-Tank No. 74, also known as the ST grenade or sticky bomb, was a British hand grenade designed and produced during World War II. It was one of several makeshift anti-tank weapons developed for the British Army and Home Guard, created in response to the substantial loss of anti-tank guns in France after the Dunkirk evacuation. The grenade was designed by a team from MIR, including Major Millis Jeffries and Stuart McRae. It featured a glass sphere filled with a stable explosive mixture of nitroglycerin and additives. When the user pulled a pin, the casing would drop away, revealing the sticky sphere, pulling another pin armed with a grenade, allowing it to be attached to an enemy vehicle. Releasing the handle triggered a 5-second fuse, which then detonated the explosive. According to a War Office training pamphlet dated 29th of August 1940, the sticky bomb should be regarded as a portable demolition device that can be quickly and easily applied. The sticky bomb was thought to be effective against armor of up to 1 inch or 25 millimeters thickness, and was suitable for use against baby tanks, armored cars, and vulnerable points on medium and heavy tanks. It could be dropped from an upstairs window or applied in place by hand with sufficient force to break the glass, creating a greater area of contact. It could also be placed first and then pulled out using a length of string. By July 1941, 215,000 sticky bombs had been produced. Of these, nearly 90,000 had been sent abroad to North and South Africa, the Middle East, and to Greece, where they did useful service. The remainder were stored at ordnance depots or distributed to Army and Home Guard units. However, the sticky bombs had some issues. It still helped the Allies win the war. World War II was one of the most devastating events in human history. But it proved one point: tough times create tough men. World War II not only changed the course of history for the world, but it helped the world to excel technologically. Great engineers and scientists worked together to design and engineer machinery and weapons to kill each other more efficiently. However, these dark motives have undoubtedly led to the introduction of new technologies to the world. The weapons mentioned above might seem rudimentary compared to modern-day arsenals, but in reality, they brought devastation to millions at the expense of stopping the Nazis. A massive price for freedom indeed.